I create the space for the zone every day.
All right, welcome to another Holistic Talk, Tapping into the Zone. I'm Martin Sories. I hope that you took the red pill and that you've been enjoying the series so far. I definitely encourage you to go back and tap back in. Go back and watch Laura Mitchell Wilde. Tap back in with Tyson Etienne from last week. And this week I have another special guest for you guys, another treat. So get ready to tap into the zone with my man, my friend, my brother, former Baltimore Ravens running back, the author of Mindfulness for the Ultimate Athlete, Mastering the Balance Between Power and Peace, my man, Mr. Prince Daniels Jr. Stay tapped in and enjoy. Man, Brother Prince, welcome to Tapping into the Zone, man. This is Holistic Talks, Tapping into the Zone. I'm really grateful to have you here, man. You know, I read, obviously, you talked about it in the book and shared your experience, but if you could take me back to that Florida State game, which you described in detail as like your first time kind of really experiencing the zone, could you just kind of take me back to that?
It was actually like my third or fourth time experience in the zone. You know, my first time when I was the story when I rode my bike when I was 5 years old without training wheels.
Right,
So that was
right.
my first
So
time.
that was, you credited that as really your
Yeah.
first time. That was dope.
Yeah, that was my introduction to the zone.
Man, the Florida State game, it seemed like it was just designed for me to have a breakout moment. I just went from being a walk-on to being a starter. So I was number 7th on the depth chart as a walk-on at Georgia Tech at the running back position. I worked my tail off, and I was the last man standing. And so I got an opportunity to become the starting running back at Georgia Tech. I was trying to get rid of this mindset of, you know, I'm a walk-on, but now I'm the starter. So it just takes a little time for your mind to grasp that concept. Florida State, they were highly ranked in the country at the time. The team chaplain, he told a story from the Bible. It was David and Goliath, and he had like the score of Florida State and Georgia Tech in the past, and he was like, "We didn't win." He said, "But you know what?" He said, "That all that is just a stone for the big Goliath." Oh man, I'm looking around like y'all not feeling this energy. So that energized me. Prior that week, my uncle, I would sit down and speak to all of my uncles, but one of my uncles in particular, he used to always tell me, he's like, "Man, you fast, right?" So he was just like, "Man, depend on your speed, like you fast, nephew." So it's just like, "All right, I got you, Unc." The night before the game, I had a dream that I was going to dive into the end zone and score a touchdown. The energy of the dream felt so familiar, which as I mentioned before, my first dream that I had when I was introduced to the zone was at 5 years old. So when this dream happened again, I knew that it was going to happen. The energy was there. So my dream was going to become my reality because I've seen this before. I felt this before. I went through this before. No one has ever told me, you know, hey, if you just believe in this or that, you know, this could happen. It was something that I experienced for myself at the age of 5. So now that I'm 18, 19 years old and I'm on the field, the night before I had this dream, I just knew that I was going to score a touchdown. So I just came in with supreme confidence. You know, the game begins, the crowd is going crazy. They are just shouting and screaming. And I just remember trying, you know, to make something happen. But I was extremely focused. In the game, I started doing spin moves and juking people and running people over. I was like, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm playing at a very high level. The game was a close game. They ended up winning 14-13. I'm trying super hard. So the first 3 quarters, I'm constantly trying. And the fourth quarter, I asked myself, like, man, when is this dream going to come true? I saw it happen. It's supposed to come true. And the minute I surrendered, I let go, I didn't try anymore, was a moment that it happened. And I'll never forget it. I remember the quarterback was saying, blue, wait. And I'm talking to myself. I'm 7 yards deep. I'm talking to myself. And I know it's about to be a run play. So right before he said hut, I just remember saying to myself, man, just whatever, let's let it go. And I exhaled. And the moment I exhaled, he said hut. And I took my first step to the right. And when I took that first step, everything went from, yeah, man, that blue, wait. Oh, and I just was talking to myself. I had this internal dialogue. automatically my body reacted to what I was supposed to do. So I just put my hand up, created a pocket for the quarterback to put the ball into the pocket. And as I'm watching what's going on in slow motion in my head, everything was in slow motion. So I'm watching everything happen, and I'm watching how the play develops. You had these linebackers that are going to the NFL. They're going to be going first round, Florida State Hall of Fame linebackers. And I'm saying to myself, I remember when we watched film, they over pursue. And I said to myself, I'm going to cut it back. And that's what happened. I saw them over pursuing, and without me looking backside, I just cut it back. And when I cut it back, my lineman had created this big space for me. So now I'm running through the space. And as I'm running through the space, I see the linebackers on the ground because they slipped because I over pursued. And I cut it back very quickly. So as I cut it back, I'm looking at them. I'm like, he's going to go to first round. He's going to go in first round. He's going to go in second round. It's like, wow. It's like, man, they on the ground right now. So now I'm running. There's a defender that comes from my left. And as he comes from my left, I switch the ball very quickly, and I go to stick out my stiff arm. And as I'm sticking out my stiff arm, something like the whole image of my uncle came back to me in my head within this. And I don't even know how to measure time, but that thought came back to me so vividly. My uncle was just like, man, stop sticking out your stiff arm, because when you stick it out, you hold it out too long, and it gives the opponent an opportunity to tackle you. He's like, man, rely on your speed. So that went through my head within this short amount of time. So if you ever see the video, you'll see me stick out my stiff arm like real quick and then retract it and just take off running. And so now I'm running, and I realized that he hasn't touched me because, again, walk on mentality. You just get what you can. You run, and then you dive forward. You've created some yards. You've advanced the to the first down. Never thought like I could break and I can go score a touchdown. Like I'm good enough for that. Like I'm actually great. I'm not living to my potential because of the mindset that I had at the time. After about like 15 to 20 yards, I realized that nobody is around me. I'm like, oh shit. Like feet don't fail me now. Let's go. Like what? I was like, this is it. At this time, there's a defender on the other side of the field. He's hauling ass from the other side of the field. And we meet at the 3-yard line. I see him out the corner of my eye, and we jump at the same time. Woof. And when I jumped, everything went back into the zone, like woof. Boom, 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 boom. That's when I hit the ground, and when I hit the ground, I was just like, man, what happened? It's quiet. I can't hear anything. And all I remember was my teammate. He just jumped on top of me and he grabbed me, and I was looking like, what's going on? And I was like, did I score? He's like, did you score? Did you get your ass up? And he grabbed me and pulled me up. I remember getting up and I was just like, it came true. There we go.
I promise, like, and even it's been a weird these past few months, and knowing out.
On page 41 on your book, you were talking about when you were 19, just as a walk-on, just starting out, you had that one coach that was just reminding you like how bad you are and how much you sucked. And you called it an inspirational realization at that time where you realized like you were going to really, like, it was just like, yo, I'm going to do this. What do you give credit to that gave you the ability to have that realization?
My ability to believe in myself. So I had a vision of how of what it would look like to be the man on campus and to do well in academics. And so when I first came to Georgia Tech, that was the first thing that I said to myself, like I'm going to be a starter here. I'm going to play at Georgia Tech, and I'm going to be an academic student. I'm a student first and an athlete second. Right. And so because my father, he's from Ghana, Africa. When my dad coming from another country, it was I just always had this mindset of like nothing is impossible. Right. Somebody tell you that you can't do something, it's because they haven't been able to do it or accomplish it. My coach, And I'm not gonna say it was a hunky dory type of relationship, because it definitely wasn't that. But he was the one that definitely fueled me and sparked me to become, the great running back that I had become. He will probably tell you, I'm not going to speak for him, but I'm going to speak right now today, that he would probably tell you that that was his way of coaching. But when you have a kid that's 19 years old, and I grew up sheltered, you don't talk to people like that, in a B rating and condescending manner. That's not the you don't get a lot out of your students whenever you talk to them like that, right? Because not everybody is keen to verbal abuse, right? And that's not how I thrive. But today, or that day, I thrive from his words to saying that I suck and that I wouldn't amount to anything, and that he heard that I was smart, and he can call some of his buddies up at Brown University and see if they can get me in school there. But I'm not going to have my chances of playing at Georgia Tech are 1 in a million, and my chances of playing in the NFL are 1 in a billion. Just like a comical moment. It was more like I was more like Jim Carrey on Dumb and Dumber, when he was like, "So you're telling me I have a chance, right?" So I saw it as a chance, and it wasn't a challenge; it was just a chance, because after he told me that I sucked and that I wouldn't amount to anything, he told me to get the out of his office. I'm walking out, and my teammates are just like, "You okay?" I was like, "Don't touch me, man! Don't touch me. I'm okay. I'm okay." Because if they would have touched me, I probably would have bust out crying. So I went to the bus stop and I sat down. It was around spring break. We had to have our spring break exit meeting with the coaches. And I just remember sitting there just, thinking like, man, as I was waiting on the bus, I just remember one of my coaches came by and just like, "Pete, keep your head up. I'm sorry what happened. I was there. I heard it." He said, "But man," he said, let me tell you something." He said, "The one thing that you have is this heart." And he said, "Nobody else has what you have." So he said, "Keep your head up, man." And I was just like, "Yeah, thank you, coach." So as he drove by, man, the tear went down my face. And I just remember looking up at the skies, just like, what did I do wrong, man? What did I do wrong? And I said to myself, you know what? My exact words, I was like, fuck this. I was like, I'm not going to let nobody steal my dream from me. It's my dream. I was like, fuck this, and I got my ass up. I stopped waiting for the bus, and I strapped up my backpack. I pulled the straps down, and I took off running from one side of the campus to the other, crying, tears just running the whole way to the other side of the campus. It's about a mile and a half from the athletic center to our dormitory room. I get upstairs, I take off my backpack, I put on my workout clothes on. I go back outside and I work in the volleyball sand pit, the 1996 Olympic volleyball sand pit that was in front of our dorm room. And I worked out for the next 3 hours until I passed out. And then from there, I remember waking up, had a big sand print on the side of my face. And I just remember walking up the stairs like weary as hell. And my roommate offered me two greasy ass pizzas. I ate those slices of pizza. I was too tired to do my homework, man. I went to sleep. I woke up at 4:30. I started doing some work and started doing some sit-ups and push-ups. And we had workouts, I think I want to say at 5:30. So at 5 o'clock, I took off running to the other side of campus. And I did this for the next 3 months. And when my teammates would pass me by and say, "Hey, you want to ride?" I'd just be like, "No, I'm good." Somebody told me that I suck. So, I'm good on the ride. I'm good on any type of help, anything else. I don't need nobody's support. And I took it upon myself to make my dream become a reality. And I didn't care what anybody thought about me or anybody said. I used to run around campus with my headphones on and the football in my hand. The one thing about uh, being able to make the zone happen on command, or just being in the zone, is not being concerned about other people's opinions, just being in your own world. And I was able to be in my own world. It was just a mentality that I had, that, you know, where I was accidentally thrusted into the zone.
Mm.
And then I started realizing, like, how did I get there?
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, I was able to do that. All right, so this happened when I was 5. Okay, this happened, when I was 19. And then when I got to the NFL, that's when I just really start tapping into it. That's what happened. My coach had told me that I suck, and I was just like, okay, that's not me. I don't suck. I know I'm great. And if you give me a chance, then I'll show you my greatness. But on paper, I was number 7 on the depth chart at running back, and also I wasn't given he didn't give me a playbook, right, to study the plays, and so I had to borrow my teammates' playbooks at nighttime. The coach would try to make it look bad. Just having that vision and seeing it over and over again allows for you to combat the negativity. It allows for you to build confidence within yourself, and it allows for you to create space to to work towards a purpose. And I knew that I had a purpose, and so I had to work to make that purpose popular.
When did you start meditating, and what was it like when you started?
So I started meditating in high school uh, because one, my dad was a black belt, and he would practice meditation, but I would never really see him practice meditation. But my uncle, two of my uncles, are part of a monastery. Is the reason why I started going to a monastery. But when I was in high school, they would come back from the monastery, and they would literally have like this Bruce Leroy glow. And I was looking at it like, what the heck? Like, how you get that? Like, what is that real? My family watched a lot of kung fu movies, and like Dragon Ball Z wasn't out at the time, but like a lot of cartoons that had those really profound messages in it, and those movies. And so I grew up watching all of that, and I would meditate probably for like 5 minutes, just sitting down in a chair, probably fall asleep. All of the above. It was difficult. Like I just sit down and just close my eyes, and every time I close my eyes, I would fall asleep. And so that's how I was in high school, but I always had a curiosity about meditation. Get to college, and um, I was trying to figure out my religion, not try to figure out as in like what religion am I going to be? Am I going to be a Christian, a Muslim, or am I going to be this or that? Right? It was just more so like I needed my spiritual anchor. That's when I started tapping into my spirituality, like looking within myself and start reading more books, like As a Man Thinketh, that one of my uncles gave to me by James Allen in college. And I started reading it, and it was just like you had so much more potential, and we'd never been able to tap into that. The meditation practice was here and there in college. I was more so like part of FCA, Fellowship Christian, athletics or athletes, and I was just trying to find it right there. But when I knew I'd already graduated from that and I was looking for more, I got into meditation heavily my second year going into the NFL career. 2007, 2008 season is when I started jumping to meditation, because I started realizing like, man, like I can really take my game to a whole nother level that where no one can really F with me, touch me. I'm be on a whole nother level. And that's when I really started diving in a little bit more deeper. By this time, um, I took my first visit to the monastery. I believe so. I took my first visit to the monastery with my uncles. In my head, the thought of a monastery was like the episode of Martin when he's Nazi Rumba. I would see like cartoons like The Last Avatar and Kung Fu Panda and Dragon Ball Z. And so they would always talk about energy, and I need to meditate and concentrate and focus. And when I would watch this, it would resonate with me. I was just like, wow, like
Yeah.
I'm feeling something like this is like this is possible. It's not just a cartoon. This is something that's real life. And I wanted to get in tune and in touch with that real life. When I had my first breakthrough when I was at the monastery, that's when, like it happened. Like my first breakthrough happened. And when it happened, tears started streaming down my face after the bell rung. I was just like, what was that? What was that? Hold on. What? Man, when that tear came down my face, I was like, whatever that is, I'm going to continue to do that. And from there, I would go back to the Ravens. The way that I would walk, I carry myself, it was just chest was upright. I was walking as if I had this air about myself, like didn't care about anybody and what anybody had to say, because I was in a whole nother mindset space. My mindset was, I'm a Baltimore Ravens. I'm playing against a number one defense in the NFL. So I get an opportunity to go against the number one defense every single day. If I can dominate the number one defense in the NFL every single day, then that means whenever I play against a number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, the 32nd, I'm going to dominate them so much. They're going to be like, who in the hell are you? And I'd already thought about, in 2 years, I'm going to switch up my running style because I don't want nobody to figure it out. Like it was just so much forward thinking, once I was able to grasp the concept of the game. Like I didn't even understand football until I got to the NFL. My mind was in another zone. I was writing raps in meetings, right? And I kid you not, I was in the middle of writing this rhyme and the coach had called on me. And when he called on me, my head was down. And he was just like, what do we have here? And I was just like, we got 6-man turn back protection there. And he was just like, that was lucky. Like for the first time, I just realized it's like, dang, I just blurted out the question without even trying. I had my head down and the room is dark and I just blurted out the question. And so he was just like, that was lucky. Hey, pay attention, Rook. Oh, I mean, not Rook, but young guy. This is when I realized that I became a student of the game. How do I exert energy and be able to think at the same time? And but not just exert energy, but have something that simulates, the performance that we have on the field. And man, it took me about a week to figure that out. And I was just like, everything starts from the core. Everything starts from the core. And I said, even when you're running, trying to do everything comes from the core. I said, I get it. I just need to do some sit-ups, because when you are running, you are exerting your, you're tightening and contracting your abdominal area, your muscles, your core. I'm gonna do sit-ups to a specific number, and then after I do those sit-ups beyond that number, I'm gonna pull out my index cards and start remembering what plays are. When it's turn back protection or like trips left, just the plays. Whenever you call the plays, knowing where to line up, knowing where everyone lines up, I surrendered to the whole process, man. And after a while, the pain after you get past number 31, and I started reading the index, the pain started going away after a while. And I was able to do 100 sit-ups, and look through probably like 50 cards, understanding the schemes and the play and everything else. And then from there, that transition to being on the field. So now I got on the field, I was dominating. I was doing so many things. And then I started working on my core to maximize my speed. I started working on my hips, which is a part of your core. And then I went from running a 4.5 to a 4.2 in 6 weeks. So everything started to come into place for me. And I was just like, man, this stuff is easy. I started putting all these things together and I started realizing like, oh, I could do this. I could do that. They put me at wide receiver, go for a go route. Boom. I'm catching the ball with one hand. And then I'm running back like, man, I told y'all, y'all are not, I'm just talking mad stuff because that's the level of confidence that you have to have when you're on that professional level. Right. And you also got to have this mindset of not even concerned about anybody. And this is where I'm in my own zone or in my own headspace. I'm in flow happens because when you're competing with everybody, it's like trying to put together a Rubik's Cube. Right. But the energy for the zone is right above the Rubik's Cube that you are focusing your attention on. And so once I was just like, Rubik's Cube, like I'm in another space, I'm in another zone. That's when you start tapping into it, on command. It's not something that you can switch on like a light switch. It's always there, but you just have to become mindful and aware that it's there. And when it does, you hear a lot of people say surrender to the process, or you'll hear people say lean into it or live into it, right? But you just be. Because you've already put the work in. It's just now your body, your mind, and your spirit have to connect and align. And when they do, like that is the formula and the recipe to be in the zone.
What's up, Hoopers? Eric here from the Holistic Hooper.
This is Martin from Holistic Hooper.
And we're super excited for our exclusive workout bundle.
3 workouts from the Holistic Hooper plus a guided meditation.
As a former Hooper, I've always struggled with keeping a routine, or I just didn't know where to start. So this bundle brings all that together.
So give us your feedback. Let us know how you like the workouts. Let us know how they make you feel. Stay tapped in with the Holistic Hooper and enjoy. It's so beautiful what's happening because, for one, you're the only non-basketball specific person part of this series. You know how it is. Like, basketball and football players, we kind of all, we kind of compete over the same girls and stuff in school. Right. You know what I mean? But it's a mutual respect. It's like, hey, man,
right.
But we're
you be looking at him
like, man, he was shit with the basketball niggas. You know what I mean? The way you started our conversation talking about you being in the zone was so similar to what I've experienced in basketball, even before, in my accidental zone experiences in college. For me, it was like playing passing lanes. I got a bunch of steals records in school because I didn't know how other people didn't pick up on it, but it was like, yo, the ball literally reverses every possession. So like, if you could just time it, like, it just seems so simple to me. Every time I did it, bro, every time it slowed down. Like, I had to like get to that spot where it's like, yo, relax. But again, I didn't know what I was really doing. I just thought I was nice.
But that's a part of it. You don't believe that you can fly until you go on an airplane. You're like, oh, I can't fly, but I can fly if I go on an airplane or a jet, right? And then when you go on an airplane or a jet, it elevates your perception of how you see things on ground level. But once you become exposed to, like, man, if I realize I've done this so many times when I breathe and when I'm calm, and I know that he's gonna pass it to the wing, like, all I gotta do is just step into the lane. And so, as I was saying, when you don't believe that you can fly, that means your level of awareness has not heightened yet. It's because you believe that you can't fly. But the minute that you believe that you can fly, man, you actually get wings. I'm not saying physically, but you get wings and elevating your mindset and being able to see things that other people are not able to see. And that's what happens when you connect to your higher self. When you align your mind, your body, and your spirit, you connect to your higher self. And when you connect to your higher self, you're able to see things in the same way that your higher self is able to see things.
Do you understand how it might seem curious to someone from the outside saying, like, well, why would a football player be meditating, trying to get to this peaceful center when he got to go out there and knock heads off? Like, how the balance between power and peace, how can you just kind of go into that more?
One of the things that I had learned very quickly in the NFL was that everybody is strong. So you can't run over everybody in the league. All right, so you're going to have to switch up your gameplay no matter what, because those licks will take a toll on you, because these defensive players, they are ready to hit someone or get hit. It doesn't matter. And so my mindset had to change. Patience is the key to your power, right? Being at peace. Whenever you can find your peace within yourself, then you start finding your true power. I discovered my true power when we were in these meetings, when I wasn't allowed to say anything, but just had to sit back and listen to what everybody else was saying. But I had been at home studying the whole playbook because I got chewed out, and it stuck with me. I'm doing sit-ups and workouts and everything while reading a index card. And I started to realize, like, when you reach a level of peace, you are at peace with any and everything that happens. You've already exercised this thing called power. So you have a thorough understanding of what power is. Power in so many ways, power financially, power politically, whatever else, or power and strength. There's an opposite to everything in life: up, down, hot, cold, east, west, tall, small, power, peace. Your power is in your peace. Because once you can find your peace and you become at peace with everything becomes effortless, and you're not concerned about everything else that everyone else is concerned about. You're living in your own space. I remember when Shaq was telling the story about Kobe Bryant. I'm not sure if it was when he scored the 80 points or not, but I remember Shaq said that during halftime, the teammates came up to him and was just like, hey, man, Kobe not passing the ball. You think you can talk to him? And so he said he went to Kobe. He was just like, hey, Kobe, hey, can you pass the ball some more? He was just like, why? He's like, why? He's like, no, nobody's taking the shot. He's just like, he's just like, hey man, I'm sorry, y'all. Kobe's not gonna pass the ball to you, But the thing was, he was in another zone, and it's like the things that other people are concerned about doesn't concern you because you are thinking at such a high level. Everything is beneath you. I'm not saying it in a berating way, but it's so beneath you. Why give your energy to that when your energy is in this space that's above everyone else? So now you realize, like, I can shoot this ball and it's gonna go in. Shoot, I can come off this screen and step back, pop it, bam, 3. It's nothing. It's effortless. The reason why it's important for these athletes to understand peace and power, whether you're in football, basketball, any other sport, is because these become habits for you, right? And so if you are always trying to power through something, once you don't have that platform anymore, you're going to be very destructive, and it's going to destroy a lot of things in your path. But when you have the balance of peace, you learn how to nurture things when they need to be nurtured instead of powering through them. You learn how to have a delicate balance with whom you're dealing with. When you have too much peace, you're too passive and too submissive. But you need to have a combination of the two, so then that way there's a flow to you. There's not you're not rigid. You're flowing, right? You know when to give peace, and you know when to be powerful. The power is not going to leave because you've already mastered that. That's what everyone else is thinking about. No one is thinking about peace because they think it's weak, right? But once you realize that your peace is more powerful than the power, then you start realizing, like, this is what my power is. I think a rapper has said it, like, the loudest one in the room, he's just all for show. That's not the one you need to be concerned about. You need to be concerned about the one that's not saying nothing. Well, what you gonna say, man? You gonna say something? Man, you don't never say nothing, man. So now if you see everyone is reacting to him not saying anything, like, why you not saying nothing? Like, no, man, you tripping, man. Like, and so what you don't realize is that that's power. That's power, and not saying anything. When you speak from silence, when you don't say anything, but you let your action speak for itself, it speaks louder than words. And so when you can learn how to refrain from speaking and be silent, you are learning how to hone in and cultivate your energy. And so when it's time for you to perform, you didn't exert your energy by talking, which is like a powerful act, because you want to be heard. You want everybody to hear you. You want everybody to know what type of knowledge that you possess. You've been this close to getting into the zone. You've already exhausted that energy by talking so much. But when you are quiet and you're focused on what you need to do, and you allow for all your energy to be directed into that space of getting into the zone, then things happen. Like, everything that everyone has said to you, you absorb it, and you turn it into fuel, and you let that fuel you to reach a high level in your play and to get into the zone. All it is just another step up the staircase to be able to get into the zone. Power is something that we have. Peace is something that we don't even pay attention to. But the minute you start paying attention to the small things, the things that we tend to overlook, learn how to focus your energy, direct your energy, knowing when to anticipate a steal. Like, gotcha. It's those things, and that's the reason why I tell people, mastering the balance between your power and your peace. Because the minute you find your peace, you are at peace with everything. The minute you are at peace with everything, you don't have no limits. You don't set no limits for yourself. You just play. And the more you continue to play and you get into a rhythm, then you start realizing, like, whoa, okay, I'm aware that I'm in the zone now. All right, bucket, stop, bucket, my boards. You're talking out loud, but you're not talking to anyone in particular. You're just talking. When you're in the zone, you're not even concerned about what anyone else is doing. You're just like, oh, he hit a shot. Wow. Swag up. I just hit a shot too. Swag up. I'm gonna come back and hit 3 more. Right? And you call it. You call it, and when you call it, you do it in the most effortless manner. And that's when you know that you're in the zone. And that's when you know you have mastered the balance between your power and your peace.
Only when I started to focus on strengthening my mind and my spirit did I begin to unlock my physical potential. Let me just read that again. Only when I started to focus on strengthening my mind and my spirit did I begin to unlock my physical potential.
Having all that power, it's not going to help you in anything. I have my body and I'm able to do a lot with my body, but like, what is my mind like? Like, I need to strengthen my mind. And I already knew about the meditation. So I knew that meditation helps strengthen your spirit, helps you connect to your spirit. And I know that my spirit had guided me all the way to where I was, and it wasn't going to mislead me. You know, it guided me to where I needed to be in the NFL. So why not practice meditation? And it's not a religion, it's not a philosophy, or it's not something that it's like a religious substitution or a doctrine. You know, it's a practice that allows you to access a level of focus, concentration, awareness, you know, compassion, kindness, peace, power, all of the above. And this exists in everyone all over the world at all times. So once I start understanding these things, focusing on my body was like, I was like, why am I focusing on my body? I need to focus on my mind, because I want to be so strong. I want to be so mentally strong that when you're playing against me, you're competing against me, you're competing with someone that has supreme confidence. So you either have to match that or go beyond that. No matter what, you're playing against human beings. Like, stop. Look, it was a surprise when I went from a 4.5 to a 4.2. You know, they were like, yo, when you get this fast, dog? Like, everybody else started to see it. They were just like, hold up, you went this fast about a couple weeks ago, yo. You know, and then all of a sudden I'm gliding through holes. I'm scoring touchdowns. They move me to wide receiver to run some routes. I'm catching balls. So now I become a utility player as opposed to a one-dimension player, right? So now my value goes up. With me strengthening my mind, that's how the playbook came to me so easily, because I was able to break things down like, you can only run to the right, to the left so many times, up the middle, pass the ball, the same thing. And then, these are just schemes. They're all the same. You just got to know where to line up. And then after that, I was able to simplify everything that was very confusing, that was convoluted. Everything in life is has created confusion. But the minute you tap into yourself, you look within, then you start, that confusion starts to dissolve, and those layers are taken off, and you start to see the actual thing. It's like the Wizard of Oz, right? Big voice, like, hey, and then all of a sudden you go behind the curtains and you peel them back, and it's just like, hey, you ain't no wizard. You exactly. And then you start realizing, you know, the fear that you had, it dissolves. And you're like, why was I afraid in the first place? And that's how it feels whenever you reach another level. Like, what was my mindset thinking about when I was feeling like I couldn't do it? Like, but I'm doing it now. So now that I'm doing it, I'm not going back to that mindset. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to keep dominating at a very high level. And that's how it happens.
Describe, even now, today, how you tap into the zone and what it's like for you.
I create the space for the zone every day. The fact that I was able to reach it when I was in sports and I was exposed to it, as I mentioned before, it's a muscle memory that you never really lose, especially when you sharpen that skill. All right. So practice meditation every day. And this allows for me to become aware of the zone each and every time I sit down and I practice my meditation. And whenever I'm ready to tap into the zone, I'm aware that it's around me. And when I'm aware that it's around me, then I'm aware that I'm in the zone. I'm not out of the zone. Everyone is always in the zone, but your mind has so many distractions. You tend to forget that you are in the zone. You tend to forget that you are in love. You tend to forget that you are in bliss. You tend to forget that you are in joy. So I set my day up with the meditation. which allows for me to become aware of the zone. And so throughout my day, I'm constantly in the zone. Sometimes I'll be in the zone for long periods of time. Sometimes I'm in the zone for a short amount of time. As long as I continue to stay in the zone, no matter the duration, I'm always going to continue to be in the zone. And so that is what helps me stay in the zone. And that is why I always tell people, like, practice meditation. Practice meditation. People probably get tired of me saying it, but you know what? I don't give a care, because we listen to other things that are toxic and destructive, and I'm telling you something that's going to help you times 10 to be able to think for yourself, to be able to become aware of the zone, be in the zone, and do the necessary things that you need to do to become the best version of yourself. I maintain my level of physicality, and I'm reading, constantly reading, so I can maintain and sharpen my body, my mind, my spirit, and that's always the key to being in the zone. So if I'm meditating every day, if I'm reading every day, or doing some type of puzzle or something to ignite my mind, and I'm working out, then this is my formula to get into the zone. And so this is how I stay in the zone day in and day out, because the spirit is always there. Just the spirit has led you to where you are, right? And so all you need to do is become aware of the spirit, connect with the spirit, and when that happens, then the next step is the zone. And from that point on, you're like, man, I'm in the zone. I'm in bliss. I'm in love. I'm in joy. And the reason why I keep slowing down when I say I'm in joy, because the word ENJOY, when you're in joy, you're in the zone because you don't have a care in the world. When you're in bliss, you're in the zone because you don't have a care in the world. When you're in love, you don't have a care in the world because you're in the zone. Remember, when you're in the zone, you are here. And the Rubik's cube, the conundrum, the problem, you're trying to figure out how to make this Rubik's cube, have all the same colors on one side. You're concerned about something that has nothing to do with you being in the zone, but that's what your attention is. That's where your attention is. So when you can bring your attention beyond, transcend beyond, the mundane stuff, that's when you stay there. And that's what I do. And I practice that every single day. I have not taken a day off. I don't look to take a day off, because the more you practice meditation, the more you want to do it.
I'm hopping from island to island, finding me some Jedi masters to tap in with. So, you're one of my guys, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. Seriously, I'm grateful. I don't take it for granted, man.
And I'm grateful as well, man. I appreciate your time and your effort, and that you're doing this. You're holding this space, man. Thank you so much for this time and everything that you've done. Continue to keep doing what you're doing, man. So people can learn more about the zone and how to tap into it and just be the best version of themselves.